welcoming everyone to tonight's Citizens Climate University. It's on increasing Grasstops engagement, a topic that all of us find incredibly important, especially as we're leading up to the 2018 conference. And it's going to be done by Todd Elvins. Todd is CCL's Grasstops Engagement Program Coordinator, as well as CCL's Action Coordinator, and has been active with CCL for many years, and is going to review a couple of learning goals this first half tonight. There's a photo of him. He's an avid surfer with the Dawn Patrol as well. Hopefully after the first part of tonight's lesson, folks should be able to understand new actions and the program names transition with the Grasstops Engagement Program, locate and navigate new features, and then be ready to ask influencers to take those actions. I'll have a chance to go over those actions a little bit more in the second half. But Todd's going to go over the Grasstops level and review some amazing progress that we've had, as well as the J. Butera story, talk about those changes to the Grasstops Engagement Tracker, the former database, and our program, asking influencers to act, and then we'll have a discussion and Q&A activity. So with that, I'll pass it to you, Todd.
Hey, all right, thanks, Brett. So the highly respected nonprofit Congressional Management Foundation in DC performs research to understand how Congress works. In one research study, they measured how many email messages from Grasstops constituents, and those are influential leaders in the community, does it take for a House congressional office that has not taken a firm position on an issue to take the action requested in the emails? That just a few constituent influencers can prompt a lawmaker to take an action. So that's kind of the basis of our lever, our Grasstops lever of political will. So let's look to see, we've seen over the last couple of years that volunteers have done just an amazing job of going out and getting signed leader letters and municipal resolutions and newspaper editorials and entering public positions. CCL volunteers have just, as I said, just done an amazing job. Over 2,300 signed letters, we're at 86 municipal resolutions right now from city councils, county boards of supervisors. We have 70 editorial board endorsements, and 1,300 public positions have been entered into the endorsement system. One CCL volunteer, you probably know, Park Guthrie, is now working with students who stand up at school board meetings and ask for school board resolutions. And I think they're up to about 11 of those school board resolutions just in the last few months. So that's an exciting project to keep an eye on. I think everybody probably knows the J. Butera story. Let's just review a few details of super volunteer J. Butera and how he was working with influential members of the community in Florida. Jay started working in Florida by getting endorsement letters from influential members of the community. He delivered signed endorsement letters to the district congressional office, and it was super impactful. But his greatest impact was engaging with influencers in the community and bringing the influencers to the member of Congress's district office for a lobby meeting. So it wasn't the signed letters, it was the actual physical presence of the influencers in the office. Influencer actions like attending a lobby meeting showed strong support in the district for climate action. In the further actions that we're going to ask influencers to take in I'll cover that in just a minute. We're going to add that to our already successful endorsement program. So as I just mentioned, let's ask influencers to show support in the district in many ways, not just signing endorsement letters, but going to lobby meetings and taking other actions. We know that influencers who have signed endorsement letters support climate action or carbon fee and dividend, and signing an endorsement is a great first step. So now let's increase our engagement with the influencers who signed endorsement letters and ask them to take further actions. For example, you might ask an influencer to attend a lobby meeting, as we just talked about, or attend a meeting with an editorial board with some other CCL volunteers in the meeting, or you might ask an influencer to issue a press release or write an op-ed. Or you might ask an influencer to invite their colleagues to get involved, because the influencers have different circles of colleagues than we have. So we're going to talk about this in a lot more detail in just a minute. So to clarify the focus of our Grasstops work, we've changed the name of the CCL Endorsements Program to the Grasstops Engagement Program. In the program, we'll continue to secure signed endorsements, just like we have in the past, endorsements of many types, but we'll also develop long-term relationships with the influencers who sign the endorsements and ask them to take further action. We've also renamed our database. It's now called the Grasstops Engagement Tracker, or GET for short. So you might remember it by getting endorsements and getting influencers to take actions in the district. The new name, the GET, aligns well with the Grasstops lever of political will and highlights our work engaging influencers in the district. The GET has new features to help you continue your relationship with your community influencers and track the things that you're doing with them. This is there's going to be more detail about this in the action sheet that you'll see at your chapter meeting, your monthly chapter meeting coming up. You may notice that I've been using the word influencers to describe all the people in the district who are community leaders, business leaders, Grasstops leaders, locally elected officials, and prospective letter signers. You know, we've used all those words kind of interchangeably over the last few years, but we're kind of standardizing now on the word influencers. Your mayor or your Rotary Club president, for example, often has some special influence in the community and may also have some special influence on members of Congress. CCL volunteers have done a fantastic job, as I said, getting signed endorsement letters from locally elected officials, including mayors, city council members, members of the county board of supervisors, state senators, state assembly members, and other subnational electeds. I see the reports every month, and you know, some of the most impressive endorsements every month are always the locally elected officials. We want to engage as many of these folks as possible because they often have some special influence on members of Congress. And since you voted these locally elected officials into office, locally elected officials will likely be receptive to your meeting request. It might be easier to get it's probably going to be easier to get meetings with them than it is to get meetings with the CEOs of big companies, for example. Prioritizing locally elected officials on your target list may be a good idea because they're easier to meet with, easier to schedule meetings, and they have some special influence on members of Congress. I also wanted to mention Sandy Simon just recently recorded a CCU where she talked specifically about municipal resolutions, other local resolutions, and engaging the locally elected officials. I think Brett's going to post a link to that in the chat. All right, so let's go over this a little more detail. I've mentioned these additional actions that we're going to ask influencers to take a couple of times, so let's talk about that in a little more detail. First of all, you may want to invite your influencers to attend a lobby meeting at your member of Congress's district office. You're probably not going to ask them to fly to DC, so just think about the district office and bring along some other CCL volunteers. During your meeting preparation for that lobby meeting, it'll be a good idea to tell your influencers about CCL's lobbying methodology, so give them a little bit of lobby training just in case they haven't done that. And be sure to let them know about our principle of respect, admiration, and appreciation. Next, you might want to invite your influencers to attend a meeting with some CCL volunteers and the editorial board at your local paper. Seeing influential community members acting on climate may have a strong impact on the newspaper's editors. Thirdly, you may want to ask your influencers if their company or organization could issue a press release that describes their signed endorsement and other actions that the influencer is taking. And finally, you might want to ask your influencers to ask their colleagues to get involved. Or introduce you to their colleagues. These are only, of course, a few of the things that influencers can do to have an impact on Congress and show support in the district for climate action. And as you know, all the best ideas at CCL have come from volunteers, and volunteers will undoubtedly think of the most impactful asks for the influencers in their district. So I'm looking forward to hearing those. So of course, some other things that aren't listed on the slide that you might ask your influencers to do are to talk to their trade association, talk to their Chamber of Commerce about carbon fee and dividend, invite their member of Congress to a site visit, organize a presentation or a film screening, or write an op-ed for a newspaper. So those are just a few more ideas. Those are not in the tracker yet. We'll see in just a minute, but we could certainly, if those are things that we see influencers are doing, we could certainly add those. So just to review, the high-level mission of our Grasstops lever of political will is unchanged. CCL volunteers pulling the Grasstops lever will continue to identify, research, and engage influencers, develop long-term relationships, and work with the influencers to show strong support in the district for action on climate and carbon fee and dividend. Engaging with influencers in your community is actually a lot like lobbying your member of Congress. You treat them with respect, admiration, and appreciation. You meet with your influencers often. You give them updates on what's going on with CCL and let them know about the milestones and progress that CCL is making. Keep them up to date on the Climate Solutions Caucus. You want to build that long-term trusting relationship with the influencers like you do with your members of Congress. And you want to find ways that you can be useful to these influencers. Make your asks, ask them to take action, further actions in the district beyond just signing endorsement letters, and review your approach often. While we're expanding what we're doing with our existing influencers, let's continue to engage new influencers into our Grasstops work too. So we're not just going to talk to our existing influencers and ask them to do more. Let's go out and continue to recruit influencers. In fact, you may want to set a year-end goal for the number of endorsements and resolutions that you will get, and you and your chapter and the folks in your chapter who are working on Grasstops. An important resource, especially for liaisons, are the ready-to-print district and state reports available on Community. Each report lists all the signed endorsements for one district or one state. If your liaison hasn't already, you might consider delivering a copy to your district offices. Group leaders and liaisons now receive an additional monthly spreadsheet in email that lists volunteer delegates and the actions that their influencers have taken. This report will enable liaisons to, one, engage with the CCL delegates who are working with key influencers in the district, and two, report all the actions to the in the district to the member of Congress. This is a snapshot of the new spreadsheet and some of the new columns in the spreadsheet. So you've probably not seen this yet. This is just starting to go out in email this month. And so you can see that the new columns are things like influencer attended a lobby meeting, influencer attended an editorial board meeting, and the data in the cells are dates. What is the date that the influencer did those things? So how do we get those data into the tracker? That's the next topic. So I'm going to switch into live demo mode and kind of walk you through the steps. Let's do a quick review on how to, first of all, find the Grasstops tracker and how to use the new features that have just been added this week. So here we go. This should look familiar. This is the Take Action screen. So if you've logged into Community, and you don't have to log into Community to get here, but if you go to community.citizensclimatelobby.org and click the Take Action button, you're going to end up here. And so what we're going to do now is scroll down below the fold and look here on the left-hand side for the link that says Seek Endorsements. And what we're doing now is we are navigating to the tracker, what used to be called the Outreach Database. So you can see here that it says to the tracker on the right-hand side. Brett's circling that in red. So let's go ahead and go to the tracker. I'm going to click that. So it takes 3 clicks to get there. The first click, Take Action. Second click is seek endorsements. Third click is go to the tracker. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click on advanced search. That is my favorite screen here on the tracker. And the first thing I'm going to do is put in my chapter name. I'm going to type in the first few letters, Diego, and then I'm in the drop down menu, I'm going to click on San Diego North. That's my chapter. So that is going to filter all the endorsements and influencers in the tracker down to just the ones for my chapter. And now I filter even more, I'm going to type my name. So now I'm going to see just the influencers that I'm working on. And I'm going to click this edit upload button. But I want to mention that if you're a delegate, you will see the edit button. And if you are not a delegate, you're just going to see a bunch of buttons here that says apply to be the delegate. So if you're getting frustrated, you go, I can't edit anything. You need to be sure that you're logged in as a delegate and you have adopted an influencer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the click, edit the my favorite Unitarian minister, Megan. So let's take there's a few new things here. One of them there's a help video up here in the upper left-hand corner. This is new. You might not have seen that. If you click it, you'll see a YouTube video that tells you how to use this screen, because there's a lot going on this screen. And another interesting new feature is this question mark icon. If you hover your mouse over the question mark, it says use this to track the status of the relationship between the delegate and the influencer. So those question mark icons are all over the place. This tab here that says more actions is brand spanking new this week. So you've probably not seen this. So I just clicked the more actions tab and you can see that there are some new things here. This is how delegates are going to track the actions, the further actions that their influencers are taking. So let's run through a little scenario. Let's say that Megan, the Unitarian minister, signs an endorsement today, April 12th, and you invite her to join you at a lobby meeting on April 25th. And let's say that you deliver Megan's endorsement during that lobby meeting. So let's go ahead and put in those dates. So if you click in the box, this handy dandy calendar pops up. So I'm going to click today's date, April 12th. That's the day that I invited Megan to attend a lobby meeting. And then we had the meeting on the 25th. So I'm going to click that. And Megan attended a lobby meeting on the 25th. So, look at this great progress. And of course, these things probably won't happen that quickly. This is just for the sake of the example. So the next day after the lobby meeting, April 26th, Megan's Unitarian Church issues a press release about the endorsement, and you invite Megan to attend an editorial board meeting. So let's go ahead and put that in. So the day after, on the 26th, the Unitarian Church issues a press release, and you also on that date invite Megan to attend an editorial board meeting. So notice that, inviting an influencer to do something is not an action. It's really just tracking the relationship and the progress you're making with that influencer. And then a month later, let's say that Megan asks Eleanor, her colleague at the Ministers Association, to endorse carbon fee and dividend. So that would go right here, ask a colleague to endorse. And that happens a month later on May 25th. So once you've got, and I encourage you to visit this screen often and update this as you make progress with your influencers. And once you have all the dates put in, you hit save and close. So we have moved, the Grasstops engagement action team is now called Grasstops engagement, which makes sense. And it is listed with all the other action teams. It's been a little bit hard to find in the past. So we tried to put it here front and center so it's easy to find. And this is under the Connect menu. If you go to Community, you pull down the Connect menu, one of the options is Action Team Directory. If you have any questions or problems with endorsements, we have a team of volunteers who are staffing a helpline So go ahead and send an email to endorse@citizensclimate.org, and you will get an email back within a day or two answering your question. In fact, with our expanded Grasstops program, we now have a couple of new openings for help desk volunteers. So if you're interested in helping us out, just let me know. All right, so let's review our main goals. Now that you've seen the expanded focus of the Grasstops engagement program, what are the high impact actions to take? First of all, get back in touch with the influencers who signed endorsement letters. Re-engage. Number two, meet with the volunteers in your chapter who work on Grasstops to make a plan to engage with some new influencers, get endorsements, and ask the influencers to take further actions. And finally, move locally elected officials higher on your target list. These influencers will likely have a special impact, as I mentioned, on your member of Congress, and they're relatively easy to meet with since you elected them.
Todd, thank you so much for your helpful walkthrough of our updates and important transition with how we're using our nomenclature. At this point, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of these contact informations. We're so grateful for everyone's efforts out there. I know that this is a district by district, group by group, a mountain that we're climbing together, and it's because of your involvement and advocacy that we are shifting the dial. And so thank you so much for giving the time tonight. We hope you found this useful, and we look forward to being in touch soon, everyone. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks. Great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Good night.
Thanks, team. Have a great night,
hey,
family.
Connie.